Please stand and salute the flag. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Kozer? Here. Dr. Laughlin? Here. Mrs. Maines? Here. Mr. McCommons?
Here.
Mr. Merle D. Music?
Here.
Mr. Merle L. Music?
Here.
Mr. Repko?
Here.
Dr. Zorch?
Here on the phone.
Okay. And Mr. Hubbard?
Here. At this time, I would like to turn the meeting over to our solicitor, Mr. Nagel.
I'd just like to announce that the Board of School Directors at 6:30 had an executive session. Matters discussed in the executive session under personnel, what you'll see in my solicitor's report, the appointment of Mr. Fenton to replace Mr. Baumeister on the school authority, that will be voted on tonight. Also under personnel, superintendent's recommendations that will be voted on tonight, item 70 and item 71. And finally, under legal, a contract with New Story Tuition, and that's under item 55.
Thank you, Mr. Nichols. At this time, I would like to open the floor up to hearing of visitors, part one. This is where you may come to the podium, state your name and address, and speak of anything that is on our agenda this evening. Bear in mind, we have a 3-minute limit.
Good evening. My name is Paul Cunningham. I live at 139 East 2nd Avenue in Latrobe. I'm here regarding the proposal of the new school that everybody's talking about. Unfortunately, I was just speaking with some people that I didn't know. I was not aware of the multiple meetings that you guys have already had. I did come and speak my opposition to hastily building another new school. Having sat back and watched the LDS go over budget, it was an extended period of time for it to be built, and from my understanding, there's already issues with the building, maintenance and sewage issues. What I'm here to ask is, can we slow down, reconsider building a new school and tearing down the old one? If there's that many issues, would you be willing to take the community on a tour to show them the specific issues that are making it necessary to build a new school? Or is it stuff that can be repaired at a less cost for the community? Or simply put it up for a vote for the community, if that was possible. That's all I really have to ask is, please slow down and allow more input from the community. From my understanding, especially for me, I'm opposed to it. I would like to see why it's necessary to build a new school. That's it. Thank you.
Mr. Cunningham, just a couple of things. When it comes to LES and it being over budget, the percent on change orders on LES was incredibly tiny. The building didn't come in over budget. We had a sewage issue when it first opened that was due to a crushed pipe that was crushed during construction, which we didn't realize until we opened the building, and that was corrected. There aren't issues with LES that are major at this point. I just want you to know that. I know that that's some misinformation that's out in the community, and I just want you to know.
Well, that's exactly. Some of us are here for specific answers rather than from the keyboard warriors on Facebook.
I understand. And I just wanted to let you know. Okay.
But please, if you would consider it, just please slow down on the vote. Thank you.
Can I
can I just
Sure.
address you, Mr. Cunningham?
Sure.
I'm on the facilities committee, and I also attended 16 separate forums about this project over the last year and a half. So we've done our due diligence. I just want to make that clear.
I understand the forums. I'm just now being, within the past month or so, and if you talk to some of the other folks, they were not aware of the 16 previous forums. The most recent one was, I think, a month ago at 6 p.m. I worked till 6, and my understanding is that everybody's upset that it's doing the open house. It is what it is. I had to work, but I'm able to be here tonight. That's why I'm expressing my concerns.
And we appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Randy Strayer, live in 1125 Chaucer Drive, Greensburg, PA. And just want to put some things out there. Of the 16 different sessions I knew about, I was not in any way involved and didn't know about until last winter, and I came to the last one in February. Put it out there, I'm on the school authority, and that's all I found out about was because of the school authority. So I can understand where other people may not have seen that. It wasn't advertised. I didn't see them advertised in the paper like this last one was. This last one definitely was advertised more in paper, and I think you had better attendance in that than previous ones. Just a couple of things I want to make sure that everyone's thinking about when I vote. One is proposal in option 1 has a list on it of, I think it will say $105 million. But you have to take into account the elementary schools. So in reality, it's either 130 or 170 million dollars based upon which number you use. And SHP's was basically 170 million dollars. So it's not just $100 million you got to be thinking about. You still have to do the elementary schools, and there's still another between 30 and 60 million dollars you got to account for. Just to bring things back to a personal level for individuals that we talked about millage, and I do appreciate in the form that was put out, the millage numbers made things in some ways easier to see. And I do appreciate the meeting I had last week with Mr. Premker, Mr. Watson, Mr. Thomas. I'm trying to answer some of my questions, and I apologize up front because I may be going to say some things I don't know 100% facts because I don't know what to get back to Mr. Watson with some of the information provided. But the calculations, to bring it back to a personal level, is taxes for an individual over the next 15 years will increase somewhere between 65 and 75%. So for every $1,000 you're paying in taxes now, you'll be paying another $550 to $650 in taxes. Okay, that's based upon the numbers that have been presented at the output at the forum last month. 55% assumes the same growth in housing. We have been lucky. I think there have been a lot of housing developments built over the last 15 to 25 years, which has helped offset a lot of costs of the growing of the school. I will say that if you look at the average cost per student, we were number 3 in the county. Some of that is because we're the 4th largest school district, but overall there have been a lot of things that done that have managed money pretty well. Okay, and look at what I've looked at so far. So it's not like we've been willy-nilly, you guys have been willy-nilly throwing stuff around. I am a little concerned about the 30-year loan. School historically doesn't do a 30-year loan. So are you committing so much of the capital and so much increase in taxes so that in the future, 5, 8, 10, 12, 14 years from now, you're very limited in what you can do, school board can do, because you're already going to be taxed. Your borrows are going to be towards the limit. I'm not sure what the limit's going to be. Right now, it's approximately 130. We think it's going to grow to 170 to be able to do all this. But then you're
Chair, I'm really sorry to interrupt you. Can you wrap it up? You're past your time here by a good half a minute. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Would you wrap it up?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
The only thing I was going to say is just making sure that you got the projected costs going forward and how they may relate to the Act 1. And are you going to be able to continue to raise taxes and pay your your current benefits and salaries that projected and satisfy that and still within Act 1. If not, then you're going to have to cut programs or whatever you're going to do to meet the budget. Sorry.
That's okay. I apologize for saying, would you wrap it up? I should have said, would you conclude your talk? That's it.
No problem. I understand.
It came out wrong, I'm sorry.
I understand.
My name is Christy Ripper, I live at 113 Liston Road. My question is, this is a lot of money that you're spending on our dime. Can't you put it on the ballot for a vote in the election poll and see what the people have to say?
The only time we have to go to referendum is
I
if
know
we
that that's the
exceed.
only time you have to, but maybe you should consider doing that. This is a lot of money that you are putting the burden on the people. Not everybody has gotten a raise just because inflation has gone up. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. You have senior citizens who can barely make it now, and you want to burden them even further. Schools are getting smaller, not larger, so you're going to have less of a enrollment anyhow. That's another thing you need to consider. Every time something goes wrong at your house, you rip it down and build it, no, you fix it. Why can't you fix as opposed to rebuilding? And down the road, if you need another building, you could examine that at all the property where Bagley is.
We have already identified between $92 and $120 million worth of need just to repair the district building. So to say that there's nothing wrong with the buildings or that that there's a minimal cost to repair them, it's between $92 and $121 million. The issue and why we're here at a vote tonight is because we have studied this over the last 16 months, and the cost of everything continues to go up. Groceries, gas, whatever. If we don't make a decision on repairing or replacing tonight, the cost is going to continue to go up. And that $92 to $121 million, I don't know where it will be in another year. In 2019, it was $71 million. That's how much the cost has gone up in that time. As far as building new, and why a new building, as part of the presentation and the information that Mr. Thomas collected as a part of his investigation of our buildings, that was verified by Siemens and SHP, the architect who led us through the master facilities planning process, is that the district currently maintains 150,000 square feet of unused space, and that's due to declining enrollment. I said this at the community forum, and I'll say it again. 150,000 square feet of unused space is a building bigger than the new Latrobe Elementary School. Our enrollment has declined. You as taxpayers are paying to maintain, heat, cool, 150,000 square feet of space that's not being utilized. One of the reasons for building a new junior high school is to make it the right size for our 7th and 8th graders, which right now are not even at 600 kids, and to move the 9th graders fully into the high school with that addition. Our goal is to reduce underutilized space in the district so that you don't have to pay to maintain heat and cooling. So we have recognized that the enrollment is going down. And I understand that the perception is with enrollment going down, why would you build new? But it's about to build right, and it's about to build a correct size building for what we have.
Anyone else?
Vince Johnson. I would like to know why you all of a sudden decided to do this. And you don't have very many people here on this meeting. You're out trying to sweep it under the carpet so you get everything passed. There's a lot of people that are on fixed incomes that don't have the money to go buy the luxury stuff that most people can afford. A lot of people are living on their credit cards, which is driving interest rates way up. It's no end. So why is it Joanne's trying to do this for now?
The process started last year. And again, I respect that you didn't know that we were doing it. I heard what Mr. Strayer said, and I understand that. But this hasn't been a quick process. It's been coming up on 18 months that we've been discussing these things. At board meetings, presentations to the Board of Education, the community meetings that Mrs. Kozar talked about. I have been saying now for 3 months that we were coming to a vote on this. It's been covered in the newspaper. So for you to say, sir, that we're sweeping it under the rug or trying to do something quickly, I just respectfully disagree with that. Again, it's been a process that we've gone through for 18 months. And I will tell you, I've been here for 26 years. We have included, as a school district, the community on this project more than we did on LES, more than we did on the athletic complex that was built in 2014. And I'm not sure that the community was included on anything like this since we redid the high school in the early 2000s.
Why did you send out some information to all the taxpayers in the county here that funds the school? With the information, let them decide, and have a meeting, let the people vote on it. Because a lot of people are not living on the expensive incomes that they were used to. They're on a fixed income. I don't have internet. I have a regular cheap old pay-as-you-go phone for $20 a month. I don't have cable, internet, no computer. I live basic, simple. I don't go take trips and go here, go there, go to the movies, to ball games, none of that. My kids depend on me to help them, and they're hurting. And what's the future for the grandkids after that? There's so many kids going to school right now, getting out of college throughout the United States. They're going to college, and then they get done with college, they're in debt, and they can't get a job. And where are they working? McDonald's, Arby's, places like that there. Because they can't get a job, because all the older people like that big money and that luxury, and they're there till 80, 90 years old, just like in D.C. Them guys there are 88, 90 years old. They don't care about the American people.
Thank you.
Good evening. I actually agree with all the speakers that have come up to the podium tonight. And I want to tell you that I do believe that we do sit in one of the best school districts in Westmoreland County. But with that said, I don't think this is the right time to be asking the taxpayers to actually finance this project. Interest rates are at an all-time high. Inflation is high. The cost of living is high. People are just trying to get by. We have senior citizens who are not here this evening, but we hear from them. We hear from them on the local level. We see them come in the tax office in Unity Township, and they're complaining. You don't see it. They don't have the means to get on the internet and actually try to get in touch with you. They don't know how to do that sometimes. But we see them. And as they're paying their bill, they're wondering when it's going to stop. So I'm asking you to think about them. Think about the taxpayers who are just trying to get by. The young families who can't be here tonight because there's so much going on with their young families. The business community. So every time taxes go up, their taxes go up. And sometimes the only way they can stay in business is to raise their prices. And who does that affect? The everyday people. You know, I've heard many figures and costs of what this project is going to actually cost in the beginning. But we all know that a project of this magnitude is going to have overruns. Whenever it's approved, the cost is going to only go up because that's the price of doing business. And when we talk about 3 mil increases, we talk about 2 mil increases, on the average, it's going to affect everyone in the greater Latrobe School District at least $75 a year if the increase is going to be 3 mils. That's the average, but there are more people paying a lot more. So I just want to ask you to slow down. I want you to think about the taxpayers.
Mayor, can I ask a question of this man?
Let him finish, because he's at his time anyway, if you can.
I'm finished. Go ahead, Mr. McCombs.
Okay.
You sit on the board of sewage, right?
Yes, I do.
You just raised the prices of that this year. You're so worried about what we're going to spend here and there. On top of that, they did away with the $5 per capita. You're one of them put it back in again.
No, I wasn't. I was not on the board. You know, if you want to talk about that, we can. When I was on the board, and then I retired, and I sat on the school board, that's when it was enacted again. So, you know, you can say what you want. I do sit on the sewage board, and I never voted for a rate increase.
Well, maybe you didn't need it back then. Or
Well, I'm just saying, you know, you're saying I did vote for it, so that is not true. I'm here tonight to talk about the taxpayers.
yeah, I'm a taxpayer. It just so happens my sewage bill almost doubled. And you sit on the board, now you're coming in here complaining about what we need to spend for a new school building.
Okay, let's bring
Well,
it.
thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Cindy Yotzi. I live at 1005 Chestnut Street in Latrobe. I've been here many times. I've talked to many of you. Again, I'm against it. I don't understand if we have all this capacity, okay, and this building holds 1,200 people, and we're only using 700 of it, you can't tell me that the 9th grade is bigger than that. Is the 9th grade numbers bigger than 500?
I'm sorry, I don't know which building you're talking. You're talking about the junior high or the high school?
You were saying the high school held 1,200 people.
No, I was talking about the junior high was designed for 1,200, and right now we have less than 600 7th and 8th graders sitting in the junior high school.
Okay, so what does the senior high hold?
Kurt,
Just
what's it
curious.
designed for?
The maximum capacity of senior high school is 1,200 students.
Okay, so why can't we just move the 9th grade up then?
Because it's not just as easy as space for space. One of the reasons why we have the 9th graders still down in the junior high school is because we don't have enough science labs to accommodate them. So we would need additional science labs here at the high school. One of the reasons our foreign language department is down at the junior high school is because we don't have the classroom space to accommodate them. When this building was built in 1966, and it was built for how many students? 1,200? That's the high school?
Design capacity right now is 1,200. You have 40 general classrooms with 30 students max. That's where you get the 1,200 from.
Okay.
And when it was built, at that time, for that number of students, the way education happened in classrooms was different, and the number of kids that you had per classroom was different. Again, I'll go back to when I was in first grade, and I said this at the community forum. There were 36 kids in my first grade class. We don't have 36 kids in the first grade class anymore, and we don't have 36 kids in the biology lab at the high school anymore. That's just not the way we do business. So some logistical things have changed. In 1966, 1980, Mr. Maines went back and looked at this. We didn't have a special education teacher here at the high school. We have what now, 9? So they're taking up some of that classroom space that in 66 or 80 or 85 might have been utilized by other things.
Okay.
It's just not as simple as numbers for numbers and space for space.
Okay, that's one question.
Okay.
Next question is, if we have all this room in the junior high, why aren't we moving 6th grade up?
Well, that's something that we did discuss during the 16 meetings that Mrs. Kozar referenced before. And as a district, we don't support having our 6th graders in a building with 7th and 8th graders. We believe that they are better served in an elementary school. Again, that was a conversation that we had with educators, parents, and community members. But if you do take the sixth graders and you move them up to the junior high school to fill that building, we now have elementary schools at Bagley, Mountain View, and LES that are each going to have 100 less kids when those buildings are already oversized as well. So at that point, what do?
We close an elementary school.
And that's a conversation that comes in phase 3.
Well, I think that should come in phase 1, because that will save us money.
I just don't know that we're there yet.
Legitimately, that is going to save the taxpayers money. Just like, no offense, it's not gonna cost you $50 million to put a couple labs into the high school.
Based upon what? I just want to know how you came up.
You're telling me that the 9th grade can't move up here because we don't have enough biology and science labs and those type of
And
things.
classroom space in general.
Okay? You can't tell me that it's gonna cost you $50 million to do that.
To get the space that we project that we need.
The projected space, but if you just move them up here, okay, and you put in a few more labs, or you reconfigured, like we've reconfigured the schedule a billion times since my kids have been here, okay, that the 9th grade could use the labs while, 11th grade isn't using it, or 12th grade isn't using it. Or they could go back down to the junior. I don't understand why we need to move the 9th grade up anyway. I went to school here. I was a 7th grader going to the high school for my classes. I had no problem with that. And if you're talking about not moving a 6th grader with an 8th grader, but you want to put a 9th grader with a senior, how is that, then that goes into a whole bunch of other things that I'm not going to get into, because that's my concern as a parent, having a 9th grader and a senior together.
And can you go ahead now and conclude your
Sure.
statement? Thank you.
No problem. Again, I think I agree with the rest of these people. If you really want to know how this community feels, you need to put it on the ballot and let the community decide.
Mr. Corrupting,
Yes.
the 9th grade academy addition was projected to be between 9.5 and 10 million is cost. The other 35 to 45 million is renovation cost. As far as, so 9th grade academy is not fitting that.
That's where I would ask for that number. Thank you.
Anyone else? Excuse me, anyone else?
My name is Bill Shaw. I live in Hostetter. I have Renaissance Furnishings in Latrobe. I can tell you as a business person, there's a lot of people don't got money. But my sales are down because people don't have money. I know that some of you live in $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 houses. It doesn't affect you. But there's a lot of people that don't have money. So they get their paycheck home, they pay their rent, their mortgage, their car payment, whatever. They treat themselves a little bit and hope they got enough money to get the end of the month. Now you're wanting to raise taxes. We have a higher tax base here. If you look over here where all those houses are, that means your tax base has increased. We got all these bids, we got Walmart, Lowe's, Technibar, Car Club, 300, 400,000. Your tax base is already increased, and your taxes increased. Why? How many people here would like to have a new house? How about a new car? Sure, wouldn't it be nice? But we have to look at reality, because we're dealing with finances with people that need money, people that are struggling to buy groceries. I almost lost my house. A friend of mine, to be honest with you, a friend of mine gave me $1,000 so I wouldn't have to lose my house. Because my business was down, my business was closed during COVID, and I didn't have money. I borrowed money just to survive. And they're going to take my house that I've lived in for at least 30 years, take my house because I couldn't pay the taxes. And thankfully, like I say, somebody gave me $1,000. There's a lot of people like me out there. And if you look at the sales, the house sales, every week in Latrobe Bulletin, every week there's people that lose their houses because they can't afford taxes. What kind of bullshit is that? When you got people going out, they'll give people on welfare, they'll give them houses, they'll give them food, they'll give them, they'll give them everything, and somebody's struggling and working 2 jobs and trying to make a living and can't pay their taxes to take their damn house. Now, you've also got all this consolidation. In the old days, we had all these small schools all over. Do you think the kids are more intelligent now than they were back then? No, I don't think so. Plus, we're paying buses. The buses are getting more expensive. They're busing them further. You've got higher gas prices. Like Mike said, the prices are already going up everywhere. So I don't think our kids are going to get better education through all this. And I think we need to be concerned about people like us. And maybe you don't see people like everybody, like I do every day. But I'm dealing with people that don't have money. You want to raise our taxes. This economy is not getting better. It's getting worse. In case you don't know, like Yellow Freight laid off 30,000 employees. Furniture plants are just closing down. But done. And maybe it hasn't affected you, but there's a lot of people it has affected. So that's all I got to say.
Anyone else?
Hi, good evening. Todd Frischner. I live on Kemmel Road. Believe it or not, that the budget of the school district and the way you run your business up here is pretty much the same way that I run my business at my home. But the only difference is my business ran out of a building that was built in 1862. And I make sure that that building is up to snuff, it's updated as much as possible, and it still creates me a profit. Now, the other thing that's different is when you guys have a budget deficit or your expenses increase, all you do is you pass on to us. My business is I have to find a way to pay that increase. I don't pass on my expenses to customers because I don't have any customers because of the way my business is structured. Okay? And also, there is also, what was I doing here? We need to control expenses, live within your means. You know how much money is coming in this district with your tax base. You know that number. Live within that means.
Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is John S. Urban. I live on 1005 Lake Road, Crabtree Road. I spent most of my life in this area, raised a son and a daughter that went to the school, and I have 3 grandchildren. Presently, 2 of them presently are in the school, and 1 just graduated a couple of years ago. And I had a lot of involvement with the Aqua Club and the swim teams, and helping them with their budgets, with their fundraisers, with the cost of getting these kids to have good after-school activities, things that build their character and help them budget their time. And it's very expensive to run these programs. Aqua Club is $400 if your child wants to get into Aqua Club. The family's got to come up with that money to get into Aqua Club, which your junior high and senior high teams fund those, or the Aqua Club feeds those talented kids to the swim teams to help our district out. I'm talking about value of the kids, what the kids aren't getting, because the cost of living is so high with the families, they can't afford it. My wife was president of the junior high swim team just not too long ago, and the high school was supposed to make that part of their team. They were supposed to bring them into the team and fund the junior high swim team, and it was a struggle that they weren't able to do that, or they couldn't do it. So you're telling me spending this much on your infrastructure, more buildings, is going to make this situation better whenever these people here are struggling as it is? And talk about overruns. I worked for Lake Road Steel, AMI Duco, and FMC Technologies. I was in the technical fields, the engineering fields, design, development, automation, and a lot of my projects had overruns. I had to work like hell to be under budget and develop most bang for the buck on the projects, or you lose your job. That's what happens to people in industry. And I also mentioned that our electrical or our energy infrastructure is being destroyed in this country. And something better be done about it, because we're going to be in big trouble. Heavy fabrication is out of the country. 2 steel mills in Ohio just closed down and went to Mexico because of lower costs, lower energy costs. This is happening in this country. Why can't you see this? This is what we see. I worked in it. And I'm worried about my grandchildren. I'm worried about my friends' kids. It's just, you know, it's overwhelming. And my cash flow, my income alone, $1,000 a month has evaporated from my cash flow
at home. And where did it go? It goes all this expense that's happening right now. Look, you gotta think about this. We gotta put our heads together. You gotta get skilled people in here. You gotta bid, find more bidders, find people that are hungry for the work. Because there's a lot of skilled people walking the street that can't find jobs that would like an opportunity to develop some of these projects. To work, you know, people, there are companies that are out there that are struggling to get recognized or hired by companies to do a building or construction, but you gotta search them out. You gotta look for lowest bidders. I had a lot of skill in looking for the lowest bidders and getting it done for the best spot. It's gonna take everybody working together and nobody fighting with each other. We've gotta work together 100% as Americans and get the problem solved. But right now, I think we're headed down the wrong road. I respectively, I'm telling you, I think we're headed down the wrong road. Please, let's back up. Let's really look at the problems and try to find other ways to accommodate the kids and take care of this waste space in buildings. There's a solution. That's not building new buildings.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, I move for adoption of resolution number 50, approval of the minutes.
Second.
A motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. Solicitors report, Mr. Nichols.
I would ask that the board move on resolution number 51. This is to approve the resignation of Carl Baumeister and to approve the new appointment of Neil Fenton to the Greater Latrobe School Authority. Before you do that, I just want to recognize my good friend, a lot of our good friends, Mr. Baumeister. Carl Baumeister was our business manager for many, many years. He did an absolutely spectacular job. And he has gone into the school authority where he served as the treasurer, again, with distinction. His health is not good and he's having to back away from this. So I'd like to wish him all the best. And I think I speak for all the members of the board and for the school authority for thanking him for his many years of service to our community. If I could get a motion.
So moved.
Second.
A motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Congratulations, Mr. Fenton. Congratulations, Mr. Fenton.
Mr. Davis put a lot of pressure on me.
Oh, he did? Yeah.
Huge shoes to fill.
If you have an improved or advanced adding machine, you'll be just fine.
Moving on, education and planning, Mrs. Mays.
Thank you. First four items that we're going to vote on are agreements that we approved at the beginning of the school year. So I am going to bundle the first four, and I'm going to move the resolutions 52, 53, 54, and 55 to be adopted.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
And also move for adoption resolution number 56 to approve the tuition students for the Valley classes.
Second.
Motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
That finishes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mrs. Mays. Finance, I want to bundle number 57 and 58. That's to approve the treasurer's report and approve the payment of bills. And move to those two.
Second.
A motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? That motion passes. I move for adoption of resolution number 59 to approve the tax assessment appeal settlement.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? That motion passes. I move for adoption of resolution number 60 to approve gifts, grants, and donations as listed below.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments? All in favor? Opposed? And that motion passes. Our next finance committee meeting will be Tuesday, October 10th at 5:30 p.m. at the Senior High School Library. Facilities and Operation Planning, I move for adoption of resolution number 61 to adopt and initiate, for the adoption, the initiation of the capital projects as prioritized in option 1, which has been recommended by the superintendent, the administration of the school district, community stakeholders, and the Department of Facilities and Operation and Planning of the school district. I move for that.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion?
Yes, there's, we struck off 148 signatures against this proposal. Taxpayers don't want it. We've heard from the audience today. I thank Mr. Strayer for putting out some good numbers there. The realistic part of it. Our base is 88 mills on 27, 2376. Divide that by the average guys, 40-hour rate 52, divided by 2080, $1.14 an hour. Every hour a man works. That's what they'll take for their taxes now. And you're asking us to increase.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a comment, please.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. George.
Sure, when this option first came out, I was very concerned about the cost, and didn't quite understand what the numbers meant until they were fully explained to me. We have to maintain the buildings that we have, and maintaining that junior high school is a disaster. It needs to be retrofitted, to do anything for it, with support design, was first built, it was designed for an open classroom, and it just doesn't work anymore. And to pay all that money to maintain that building and fix it up doesn't make any sense. And when we looked at the numbers for how much it costs just to maintain the building versus adding a new junior high school and a ninth grade building, it made more financial sense to me to do that. If you look at the overall numbers. So that's why I changed my opinion about it and thought that would be a good idea. Now, as far as tearing down elementary schools goes, that's what we discussed in the future, but I do not agree with that part. I think that we can keep the local schools, the neighborhood schools, and fix them. It's going to cost money to do that anyway. And the money that we use to update those buildings wouldn't be that much less than, isn't that much less than the building new buildings. I think keeping the old elementary schools makes more sense. But as far as the junior high school goes, if anybody's been in there, it's not a good building. There's no windows, ventilation is poor. It's not a good building. It hasn't been a good building for years. We tried to retrofit it, and you can see what kind of mess it is now. So I agree with that, and I'm going to vote yes for this proposal. I understand people's concerns, but I think in the overall scheme of things over the 10-year plan that we're talking about, we're going to be throwing good money after that thing to continue to maintain that junior high school building.
Thank you, Dr. George. Dr. Lockman.
I really was torn over this, and I know I'm one of the keyboard warriors on there with some of you back and forth. And I really looked at the financial part of it. I too have a business. The analogy isn't equal. I mean, I can change what I do in my business. I don't have mandates. You know, nobody's telling me what I can spend, nobody tells me a certain way to do things. I can pretty much set what I need with it. So when I first got on the board, I really thought the school could run like a business and we could, cut and look and we can't because our hands are tied. I don't want to put Dan on the spot. I don't know what our discretionary fund is, the money that we actually get to save versus the money that we are essentially forced and hands tied. But I know the discretionary is shockingly low of what we get to decide where the money is actually going.
12%.
But 12% is our discretionary fund. I mean, I run a business, my discretionary fund is way higher than 12%. I do agree, the declining enrollment, people bring that up. The square footage will be 30% less in the new. I did look at that too. Why would you build new? Why wouldn't you not do the repairs? I had Kurt send me a bunch of numbers on the repairs, and Mr. Franca said 92 to 122 million. I said, Kurt, give me like some main ones. He's like, okay, HVAC 30 million, roof systems 15 million, lighting systems 2 million, and fire alarm systems 2.2 million. I mean, these numbers boggle my mind because, of course, fixing my house, I can go things a little bit cheaper than, millions of dollars for anything. I don't live in a $300,000 house, and I get, when people do the analogy, oh, you don't want to buy a new house and you want to repair it, and I know Mr. Redco had said about his car, I'd love to have a new car, but I repair it, but there comes a point, my car had just an AC block crack, but the transmission needed to be dismounted to get to it because the Mazda CX-9 has some weird configuration, and Rangers, who I trust, said, this is going to be $4,000 on a car with 200,000 miles on it. Do you want to spend the money? $4,000 is way cheaper than buying a new car, but in the long run, is that car going to die in the next couple of years? Now I don't have a trade-in. So any of the analogies we use really aren't really what the school has. We are in charge as a school board to be fiscally responsible. I'm not saying we don't, and taxes are a concern. I haven't paid mine yet. There's a reason why. I got to make sure everything is in line before. I'll pay a little bit of late fees on it because of that. So I'm not flush with cash. I'm not sitting there going, hey, I have tons of money and I'm not concerned about anybody else. And I don't think anybody on the board sits on here going, wow, I don't care how we spend the money, and I don't care about the taxpayers, and I don't care about the senior citizens, and I don't care about the small families. Those small families have small kids that are going to go through the school. And this is called a school board. And respectfully, the students have to be priority. This is a school board with emphasis on school. It is no longer teaching kids like when we were in school, or parents were in school. I mean, I took a keystroking computer class, people were taking longhand classes. That's obsolete. At this point, we have to educate these students to be productive citizens. Not just productive, but creative and inventive. I am counting on my children and their children to come up with better medicine, better healthcare, better public school funding, figure out how to do this better without pulling the taxes. But that's not the system we have now. I think it is very important that as a school board member, we have to look at everything. And again, I look and I can remember when interest rates were 21%. Things are climbing up. Respectfully, whoever said, hey, let's take it slow, slower will not be cheaper. It is not going to cost us less if we wait. And it is not going to cost us less if we do little repair by little repair and then it collapses and you have to spend even more money with it. So I'm really at this point, and I really was torn, and I know I've been texting Eric and everybody to see because I was torn, but I am going to at this point vote to do the new because I've looked at the numbers. And the gentleman who said, Mr. Cunningham, we have a book this big. You're welcome to look through it and pick it up to see all the different problems. When you said you wanted to walk through, they're listed there. It's cumbersome. There's a ton. It isn't something that's new. It's not being swept under anything. It's been public. People start paying attention when they start to realize it's going to affect them. That's unnatural. That's all of us with it. And I'm glad to see everybody here. And I'm glad people are saying their peace of mind so that we always are mindful. But I am after looking at everything. I will be voting yes with the caveat that I want to try to see us keep the building expenses as close to how the repair expenses. This was not a zero cost tonight. No matter what we did, this was not zero cost. There was going to be millions spent any which way, and we have to look at what's the best in the long term for the students and the community.
I know this is stepping out of turn.
Excuse me.
Not appropriate.
No.
But you say you're
No,
showing.
ma'am. The time is being.
They're a priority, but they can't be a priority when the parents can't feed their
Ma'am, you are
house.
out of order,
Yeah, please,
all right?
thank you.
I acknowledge that, but they can't be.
So then there's no but, so we're done.
It can't be a priority.
I'm
because
sorry.
the parents can't feed them.
Anybody else on the floor?
Anybody else on the board has anything else to say? One of the things I would like to point out is we have listed the 15 steps in which was taken on the board chronologically, what the process with which we've been through. So for any of the board members, if you want to go ahead and look through that, that's fine, but we'll be calling for a vote, and this will be a roll call vote. Can you please call the roll, Mrs. Vermont?
Resolution 61.
Ma'am, that's enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Rucko.
No.
Dr. George.
Yeah.
Mrs. Kozer.
Yes.
Dr. Laughlin. Yes. Mrs. Mays.
Yes.
Mr. McConnell.
No.
Mr. Merle D. Music.
No.
Mr. Merle L. Music.
No.
And Mr. Hauser.
Yes.
What a shocker.
5-4, it passes.
And that motion passes. Thank you.
What is the crowd? It's
You don't give a damn what we say. You don't give a damn what we say.
They don't care.
It's on $100 to $200 million. We're not allowed.
You're out of order, sir. If you have something to say, you can go out and say it out in the lobby.
You hear what I'm saying in the lobby?
To the policeman. All right? That's enough. Moving on. I move for adoption of resolution number 62 to approve the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit Early Intervention Lease Agreement. We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? And that motion passes. Our next Facilities Operation Planning Committee meeting is Thursday, October 5th, at 3:30 p.m. at the Adams Building. Student activities and recreation, Mr. Earl Music.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no choice.
Thank you, Mr. Music. Community Relations, Mrs. May.
Yes. I will move for adoption of resolution number 63 to approve the school resource officer agreement between Regal Latrobe School District and the city of Latrobe.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion passes.
The next regular Latrobe Parks and Recreation Commission meeting will be held on Thursday, September the 21st, 2023, at 4:30 p.m. in the Union Township Municipal Court.
Thank you, Mrs. May. Want to go ahead and
I move for adoption of resolution number 64 to authorize the WIU Joint Purchasing Consortium representative and alternate for the 24-25
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? And that motion passes.
I also move for adoption of resolution number 65 to grant permission to advertise jointly as a member of the WIU Joint Purchasing Consortium for the 24-25 school year.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? We'll call the roll, Mr. Clerk.
Dr. George. Mrs. Kozer.
Yes.
Dr. Laughlin. Yes. Mrs. Mays.
Yes.
Mr. McConnell.
No.
Mr. Merle D. Music.
Yes.
Mr. Merle L. Music.
Yes.
Mr. Rucko.
Yes.
Mr. Hauser.
Yes. That motion passes.
And the next WIU
TWCTC Joint Operating Committee, Mrs. Cozart.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser. I have no report this evening because our next meeting is Wednesday, the 22nd, at 7 p.m. at UWCTC. I think that's all the report.
Thank you, Mrs. Cozart. Transportation, Mr. Marlbell, Music. Thank you. Music. Board Policy Liaison, Mr. Cozart.
Yes, I move for the adoption of resolution number 66, the election of the PSBA officers as listed.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
I move for the adoption of resolution number 67 to approve the final adoption of board policy and attachments listed below. And this is policy 918, Title I Parent and Family Engagement with updated LES attachment and BES attachment.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
I move for the adoption of resolution number 68, a notice of intent to adopt board policies as listed.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
And that concludes my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Cozart. Technology, next technology committee meeting will be Tuesday, October 17th, 5:30 p.m. here at the CSC. Superintendent's recommendation, Mr. Parenka.
Ask the board to move on resolution number 69 to approve resignations as listed.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Ask the board to move on resolution number 70, approve professional personnel substitute teachers as listed.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Ask the board to move on resolution number 71 to approve support personnel classified as listed.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
I ask the board to move on resolution number 72 to approve the support personnel appointments supplemental, a salary calculation correction as listed.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
And I would ask the board to move on resolution number 73 to approve support personnel appointments, supplemental positions for the 23-24 school year. That's Abby Conrad as an assistant basketball coach, and we have Betsy Dunlap as a volunteer junior high cheerleading coach.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and second. Questions or comments on the motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes.
Another business, the homecoming football game will be Friday the 29th at Memorial Stadium. Our next committee of the whole meeting will be Tuesday, October the 10th at 7 p.m. here in the Center for Student Creativity, followed by the regular board meeting on October the 17th again at 7. Mr. President, that concludes my recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I'd like to open the floor up to hearing of visitors part 2. This is where anyone can stand at the podium, list your name, address, and speak of any concerns you may have with the school district, and keep in mind to limit this 3 minutes.
Hi, Tom Frisker on Kemmer Road again. It has come to my attention through my son, who's a junior here at the high school, that there has recently been a change in the drop-off of students here just on the campus, whereas all of the students, 100% of the students who are school bus riders are dropped off at the junior high now. And from what I understand, this is to alleviate all of the congestion up around the senior high. which is being caused by a lot of these students being brought to school by their parents or guardians. I pay taxes for these students to have a seat on a school bus. The school bus should have first priority to be at the front door of a given school that the child is going to be at. Why are hundreds of students being forced to walk from the junior high to the senior high for their classes at the beginning of the day? Some students are late for class, some of them have a chance to get breakfast, but at that senior high. And also, I don't want to point you out, Mr. Prempeh, but as long as I've known you, your first priority has been the safety of the students, the safety of the staff, and the safety of the buildings. Why are...
I'm so sorry. I'll give you some of my time.
Why are vehicles that you have no control over, you don't know who's in the vehicle, you don't know what's in the vehicle, having access to the front doors of the senior high? Those vehicles should be kept as far away from these buildings as possible. The only vehicles that should have access to the front doors are the vehicles that you have control over, and that are the school buses. Because the school bus drivers know who's supposed to be on those buses. I have some ideas, I don't want to present now. You have my number, Mr. Prempeh. I'd love to share with you my ideas on ways to maybe alleviate some of the congestion up here. And just on a side note, if you make it inconvenient for the parents to drop off their students, their children, they will ride the bus. Thank you.
Just happened. Hi, Matt Berger, 3 Southwest Lane Township. I'm not going to talk about new buildings and old buildings, but what's going on inside the buildings. Back in March 21, when policy 103 was revised to include gender identity, or adding gender identity to the discrimination Title IX policy, that in and of itself wasn't wrong, because discrimination is bad. I think we can all agree with that. I wonder if the intention when that petition was made was to not have dress code where boys have to wear pants and girls have to wear skirts and boys have to take shop and girls have to take home ec. If so, how did the student handbook as it's written today take such a drastic turn? A child that believes they're born in their own body needs help, and this isn't it. I assume there were good intentions, but the non-discrimination in school and classroom practices is at best poorly conceived and at worst dangerous. No other school district in Westmoreland County has one at all, let alone one like this. It needs to be removed from the state student handbook. Here's a couple of reasons why. In the official record section it reads, quote, "Student has a right to be addressed by name and pronoun that corresponds to the student's gender identity," unquote. This is important because under the guidance section of privacy, school personnel shall not disclose information that may reveal a student's transgender or gender non-conforming presentation to others, including parents, unquote. However, again, another quote, "When contacting the parent or guardian of a transgender or gender non-conforming student, school personnel should use the student's legal name and pronoun," unquote. So according to this policy, everyone may be treating a boy as a girl or a girl as a boy in all ways at school. This is how that student's known at school. And knowing that, the district, when speaking with the parent or guardian, is going to continue to use the legal name and the pronoun that that parent is expecting. Is the policy good when it requires misleading parents about their own children? There's a lot mentioned in this section about privacy and confidential medical information. Was the COVID-19 tracker dashboard, was that also confidential, protected medical information? I'm not advocating being told about other people's kids, just my own. Regarding locker room accessibility, it says, quote, "The use of locker rooms by transgender students shall be assessed on a case-by-case basis," unquote. However, Again quoting, "Transgender students shall have access to the locker room that corresponds to their gender identity. In no case shall a transgender student be required to use a locker room that conflicts with the student's gender identity." Seems there isn't much need for that case-by-case basis bit. I also noticed that one of the goals of this section of the policy, and I'm saying policy, I'm talking about the law, is quote-unquote maximizing the student's social integration. Sounds a lot to me like compelled participation on the part of all the other students. I fear we are now half a step away from a situation where if another student doesn't want to take their clothes off with a transgender student, that will be considered bullying or harassment. Given the giant leaps that this policy makes, this does not seem like an unfounded fear. I'm here as a resident only. I wonder, as you consider how this is actually going to be complied with and implemented by both students and staff, when was the last time you read our public indecency laws, specifically indecent exposure? I suggest a review. There isn't type culpability in that section.
Matt, can you conclude, please?
As far as staff goes, I think you need to review criminal solicitation if it's going to facilitate and encourage such a crime, should it occur, with exposing genitals in a locker room, in a school locker room. Shouldn't time myself.
Sorry, I let you go.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry.
Anyone else?
Cindy Yotzi, again, 1005 Chelsea Street. Just out of curiosity, who's up for re-election?
You can find it on our website.
Good to know. Thank you. Have a good day.
Anyone else?
Verse 172 Frostburg. Really got a couple of questions. So, what I took from some of this was there was a lack of maintenance to our existing buildings. Could that be said true?
No.
How did we get so far behind?
It's not that they're behind, it's just that it's been 25 years plus since they were renovated last. And frankly, these conversations within the board started prior to the pandemic. The pandemic got us to this point where maybe we're 2 years past where we should have been. But I don't want you to infer that we let buildings fall apart or we didn't maintain the things that we need to. It's just that you get to that point where you're looking at a major overhaul of buildings where, you know, HVAC systems on the roof are meant to last for 25 years. And we maintain them really well. But they're getting to the end of their life, and that's the decision that we have to make. The boiler here at the high school is still the original boiler from 1966. It's been so well maintained that it still functions, but we have to plan to replace it. So it's not that we haven't maintained them. Our buildings are not falling apart, but we need full-scale renovation. And even if they haven't voted yes for option one tonight, just to maintain, just to upgrade lighting, just to upgrade roofs. Roofs need to be replaced. They've been maintained, but they're at the end of their lifespan. It would have been between 92 and 121 $1 million.
Okay, and my only other question is, what teams, you said that student numbers are down?
Yes.
What's the plan to fix that?
I don't, other than offering quality education and
As a parent, I go to work every day, pay my taxes. This, tax increase after tax increase makes me want to go to dairy, pay less taxes.
They're higher. They're not.
I can look around.
They're not higher.
Military is higher.
That's not taxes.
What's going to spread more students into an area is parents. What's going to bring more parents into an area?
quality education.
Quality education.
And being able to afford to live.
Oh, I understand.
And that's all I have.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, I move for adoption of resolution number 74, adjournment. Motion on the floor in second. All in favor? Opposed? That motion passes. We are now adjourned.